In episode number 296 of the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, we cover the various superhero show cancellations and renewals.
Wizard World also released their quarterly earnings. We will talk about those. Did they go in the direction we expected?
And one of our two comic book highlights and reviews this week, one of which is Justice League No Justice #1.
All of this and so much more on today's show.
Hello and welcome to the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke every single week, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I am Darth Vader Daniel.
And I am Papa Kelli.
For any new listeners of the show, the way we format it is first we go over some news. We head into the Brokept block, which is what happened throughout the week for Kelli and I. We go into the Patreon shoutouts, the people that make the show possible, and we end it with our comic book reviews.
But we're going to jump right into our news this week.
So Wizard World has been making some changes. As of last year, we had said that they might not even be around by this time this year. Well, it turns out that Wizard World Inc. has posted a $114,383 profit in its latest quarterly report after 3 years of back-to-back losses.
Now, I'm glad they made that money, but that's still not a lot of money.
Okay, news around my comments. That's what someone said. Based on like the millions of dollars they lost in those 3 years, they're like, great, they're 1/50th of the way to break even. It's like, come on, man, fuck off. Like, they're in the positive. They made changes. Like, it's not good enough that a company is successful. They want to see them burn.
No, I don't want to see it burn. I'm just saying, I'm happy that they did well, but that's still not a whole lot of money.
So they credit the improvements on higher sales revenue, so people spending more money at the shops, more vendors as well, and lower convention expenses, which I know this was controversial because one of those expenses that they ended up cutting was extra security at the shows.
Ooh. Well,
so far so good.
Obviously it did well for them. Yeah, that's the way you do it. Them getting higher revenue too at the shows could be attributed to maybe they're watching a little more carefully what vendors are in there, what guests that they're bringing in, which all contribute to people spending more money.
I know they also cut down on their planned shows for the year from, I believe, 17 to 16 shows. And that, of course, I'm sure was them just cutting back on the least profitable of their cities.
Of course.
And they also switched out, actually, several cities did not get a Wizard World this year. And instead, they tried 3 different all-new cities. So with that, they're kind of testing out different waters to see where they can have a profitable convention experience.
That's smart. That's the way to do it. Of course, switch things up when you see that things aren't going well. Marvel. Instead of just continuing to do what you're doing and losing all that money, all that potential money.
I know one of the shows, I don't know if you remember last year, and it might be even this year, I have to look that up again, but was Wizard World Orlando. For the last 2 years, we were supposed to be getting Wizard World Orlando, and they were supposed to be like the fall convention, and because of that, MegaCon ended up doing the October convention as well as like a double, you're not going to move in on our venue, we're going to be profitable in the summer and in the fall, during all of convention season.
MegaCon was like those big fat guys in Agrabah and Kingdom Hearts, and they're like, boom, pumped them right out of there.
I'm personally hoping that one day they are profitable enough to have a Wizard World Orlando, even though the last time I went to Wizard World was in Chicago in 2016. It wasn't my favorite convention of all time. It was way more expensive than any of the cons that we had been to since, and that was, of course, them trying to jack up prices to make up some of that loss at that point. They had been back-to-back losses. But now, if they are able to bring a different show into Orlando, I'm more than willing to give it a shot. Any convention in the area that's comic-based, I will definitely go to and try again, because whatever convention, whatever show they have in Chicago is not going to be the same as one that they host in Florida.
Right. I think something that, I don't know, you said it was one of the more expensive conventions that you've been to. I really think bringing down ticket costs would help them make more money in the long run. I know they probably don't see it that way. But where do people spend most of their money once they get into the convention. You impulse buy. I impulse buy like a mother at conventions. Oh, because I am a mother. Whoa. Sorry. So, but when I see that price tag, $75 for the weekend, that's a hard hit to take. But of course, if I did that, then I'm buying something every single day.
Here's one thing I have heard from vendors for MegaCon coming up, and we'll be covering it right here on the show, and that's about a week from now. Is that vendors last year did not make as much as the previous years. And we had noted when we did talk about it on the show is that it was nothing but like 18 booths of fidget spinners.
Fidget spinners. Fucking fidget spinners.
And
where are they now? They're nowhere. That's where they are.
We all knew they were a trend, but, they were making money while they could. Why not? But with this kind of setup that they had on all these booths, does that tell you that maybe they don't have that many suppliers or many people applying for these tables, so they're just letting whoever in? Is there a lack of quality control with those booths? Because I will tell you, when I went to C2E2, there were no more than like 2 or 3 of the same type of booth. It wasn't like it was all Funko Pops. Like it was like, I think they probably limited and said, what are you primarily going to sell? And because of that, there was a huge variety at C2E2 of different booths. There was t-shirts, no fidget spinners that I saw. There was a Pokemon booth. There were trade paperback booths. There was Funko Pop, of course, action figures, posters, prints, signed Hollywood prints. And that's what I loved about it. And that's why C2E2 is my favorite convention right now.
It probably is because there's a lack of vendors here in the Orlando area. I'm guessing. I don't know. But that's what it appears to me. So why don't they take that and say, you know what? We're going to have less vendors and more artists. Oh, look at that.
I think the one solution would be, and I love my Thursday convention going. I love it because it's slow, because we can go in and take care of everything. But that is the problem, is that by having the 4 days, they charge the vendors the exact same as having a 4th day as it is for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it's costing them that much more to try to make up on Friday and Saturday.
Right.
So Thursday, where they're not selling anything, most people are just looking around and they're like, okay, maybe I'll buy some things tomorrow or Saturday, or maybe even Sunday. Some people are shopping for their Sunday buys on a Thursday. That is hurting all the vendors. That's hurting the artists. That's hurting Artist Alley. And I don't think MegaCon is big enough to actually hold a 4-day convention. And I think that's clear now after 2 years of having, 4-day conventions.
I like Thursdays.
So do I. And also, they did not approve us for press passes ever since iFanboy took over MegaCon and bought it from the other company. They haven't approved us for press passes since. So you know what? I will be truthful right now. There is no rose-colored glasses here.
Stupid.
I love your Thursdays. They're not good for the vendors. I'm truthful. Like, I'm going to be real. I love them. But if I were a vendor, if I were an artist, I would not like it. I would show up on Friday.
We still need to get a table one year. I would love this. Can we just get a table just 1 year?
My buddy Matt, who used to do the Super Side Up podcast, he was actually doing a GoFundMe to help pay for his table. And he's actually agreed to put out little business cards for us for our podcast. So every little bit helps.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Matt. So we're going to have 8 presents at MegaCon aside from us. Also, Kyle Inge said he's going to be physically handing out business cards at the convention. I'm going to pay him back with a Broquette Core pin.
There you go.
Before his 1 year, and he'll get another one when he hits his 1 year Patreon backing. So thank you so much, Kyle. And it's just going to be a really good time. We're also going to have the post MegaCon Broquette meetup. That's going to be on our Facebook page. If you missed it already, go on facebook.com/thereasonsimBroke. Click on events, and you will see our Thursday and Friday Ale House and Hyatt, both co-hosted as well by Kyle Lynch.
That'll be a lot of fun for you guys. I will be home with the baby. But he will get to experience his first convention, which is very exciting for me as well. I don't know how it's going to go.
I'm assuming it'll be similar to Epcot, I guess.
Yeah.
You got to remember it's cold as hell in there, which for him is not a problem, but you got to remember to bring, I got to remember too, because I do get cold in there, is to bring like a sweater or something. It's the polar opposite of what it is outside. They keep that place cold, which is preferable, but just got to remember, if you're going to MegaCon, bring a sweater.
The only thing I'm worried about is nap time. Don't know how nap time's going to go, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, in the past we've sat down, like, we've lounged next to the other teenagers against a wall, like sitting down on the floor. That's when he can have nap time, and we'll eat our goldfish that we always bring.
That we always bring.
Sip your coffee.
Oh man, coffee, like I'm doing right now.
Do they sell? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I could be like the spokesperson for coffee. Need to get through life? Coffee.
We were watching that documentary about coffee. What'd you think of all those connoisseurs and third wave, second wave
hipsters,
coffee?
I was like, yes.
I know all of this.
Third wave coffee and second wave. I can differentiate the taste between coffees.
Can you now?
Yes. Coffees are to me as wine are to sommeliers. So there we go.
So you're a coffee-nier.
Well, I get what would the name be? Are there people who specifically go around and sip coffees for specific things?
I'm sure there are, yeah. I'm sure there's a name for it, too.
We learned all about light roasting and dark roasting and coffee tasting different from different parts of the country or different parts of the world. And I'm sitting here going, grow coffee in our backyard. Give me a coffee tree.
You didn't like that they weren't actually beans, that they're actually like cherries that grow on trees.
Yeah, they're weird. I wanted them to be beans. But they're weirdo cherry things.
So moving forward with our news, here's something that you freaked out about. And this is all according to a leak on 4chan.
According to 4chan, whoever they are.
You've never heard of 4chan?
I feel like I have.
You know, like that green frog that kind of has like the big lips and like that neutral face on him, that came from 4chan. There's also, you don't want to go there if you are sensitive at all. It is like, think YouTube comments, how awful those are. And
is it like a forum for people?
Pretty much. It's kind of like Reddit.
Whatever happened to forums? They're just gone. Remember, forums used to be the thing.
They're still around, but they're not as big because you have Twitter, you have Facebook, you have Instagram. And that's what I had mentioned to one of my friends on Facebook when I told him how Sam Raimi was pressured about Venom being in the Spider-Man movie through message boards. Like, that was the thing. Like, through the Sony message boards, they were flooding. Just like right now on Twitter, they're flooding poor Jeff Johns, my buddy, my personal friend. If you're listening and you're flooding him with hashtag Snyder Cut Justice League, knock it off. Just knock it off. Like, I get it. I want a better version of Justice League. I do want it. And I know there are fans out there that are actually putting in the original score into Justice League so that it matches what they tried to replace while using Danny Elfman. And then they're also trying to put in the extra scene of Superman and Alfred and kind of try to rework it and cut out the Batman smiling scenes, all of that stuff. I understand. It is possible, but you can do that with any movie. You can do that with any movie that you disagree is not perfect and improve it in your own way if you have the skills. But tweeting to Jeff Johns constantly about the Zack Snyder cut, which may or may not even exist because he didn't finish the movie, I think it's getting childish now. And I'm going to say that. I want to see it, and I'm on your side too. But I don't think I've ever tweeted a single hashtag give us the Snyder cut. I don't think it's going to really do anything. And I understand that they may eventually bring out a Blu-ray that's recut, and they'll just call it the recut edition, and maybe they'll hire Zach to come back and recut it himself. But I don't think the tweets are gonna be what does it. I don't know. Do you disagree?
This was you standing up in the lunchroom going, "You guys leave my buddy Jeff alone."
Somebody has to, and no one is. And I'd be the first one anyway, and I am. Point me to another podcaster another pro DC podcaster that's telling people to leave Jeff alone. He already got like a lesser position already in the future DC movies. Like, Jesus Christ, man.
So 4chan.
You never told me if you agree or not.
Yes, that's fine. I don't see all these comments. Remember, I'm taking a step back from my social media.
Sure,
but
right.
I did tweet several times this week.
You did.
I learned how to use the Twitter. I am proud of myself. I'm a true millennial now with the Twitter. I would love to see a new Justice League too, but it is what it is. Leave Jeff alone.
All right, we can move fine. Yeah, that's... I'm sure the listeners appreciated it. That's fine. The rumored Pokemon Nintendo Switch title will return to Kanto, the original region that Kelly and I and many listeners grew up with.
The best region ever.
Gold and Silver is looking at you right now real intensely like, really? Is it?
Well, I did enjoy Gold and Silver because I could go back to Kanto. I was like chilling in Johto, and then you walk through a cave, and they're like, surprise, bitch, you're in Kanto. And I'm like, what?
Johto's like, she went there. What the fuck? They're very slighted.
I like Johto too, but I mean, come on. Who doesn't love Kanto the best?
Things between you and Johto would never be the same.
You don't like Kanto the best?
Oh, yeah, but I never said anything like positive exclusively to Johto. Those are the best games, by the way.
Yes, of course they are. After that, I can tell you all the cities in Kanto. I cannot tell you all the ones in Johto, but I can tell you most of them. And then after that, fuck it. I don't know. I don't know what any of this bullshit is. I remember there was some spooky island in one of the games where it was haunted. Mm-hmm. I don't even remember which game that was. Was that Ruby and Sapphire?
Probably. There's as many islands in those games.
I remember Ruby and Sapphire. I surfed around for 4 hours trying to find out how to swim underneath that city. Wasted so much of my life. We're going back to Kanto.
We are going back. And it's going to be split into 2 versions because why wouldn't it be? You got to double your sales, of course. I don't blame them.
So it is going to be split into the versions titled Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. Versions set up as a remake of Pokemon Yellow.
Is that your second favorite Pokemon game?
I don't know. I think it's tied with Soul Silver.
Okay, so Soul Silver, Pokemon Crystal, and Pokemon Yellow. Rank them.
Soul Silver and Yellow are equals, and then Crystal's underneath them.
Okay, so Crystal is 2 until you decide which one's better.
I like them both. I like them for different reasons. I will say the Pokemon games have gotten progressively easier, and we have talked about that, because Yellow's fucking hard. Yep. I have to sit there and grind with my Dratini, which dies after 1 hit, and then I gotta switch him out, and then it's just, and then you never know, and you have to get so many more HP to level up. But it's that nostalgia. Like, when Pikachu followed you around for the first time, you're like, what is this? And then you get to Soul Silver, and they're doing the same thing, and you're like, wow, this is so cool. And you could go back to Kanto.
So the reason it's titled Pokemon Let's Go, allegedly, again, this is none of this is confirmed, it would be something that connects to Pokemon Go on mobile, and it would encourage trading between both versions, between your phone and the Nintendo Switch game, but you still have to go through Pokemon Bank because, again, why not extra revenue? You have to have a subscription to Pokemon Bank if you want your Pokemon phoned and pocket monsters in your Nintendo Switch.
You know what I think about my phone pocket monsters? I don't care.
Did you delete that app?
I deleted that app a long ass time ago.
It was fun for a month or 2.
People ask me all the time, oh, did you play more Pokemon Go? I just got this Moltres. Yeah, my Moltres. I'm like, I don't play that shit.
The number of fucking times I had to yell at my part-timers and full-timers for playing that game. Like, anytime I'd see them, like, swiping up, it's like, I know what you're doing. Put that away. It became an issue. It was like when we were in grade school and we brought Pokemon cards to school and they had to ban them. It was exactly like that, but at work, where the owner had to come out and be like, all right, here's an email. If I see you on Pokemon Go, you are getting written up. That is it. And it's like, oh, shit. And, like, everyone immediately stopped.
Serious. No, I remember I had a big problem with it, too, at work. And then the theme parks in the area actually had to go to Pokemon Go and say, all of these, like, Pokestops are in places where people can't go. You have to get rid of them.
Yeah.
And then they had to do that, this whole hoopla, and, oy, man. I'm glad people still play it. I feel like I only know 2 people who play it instead of 40 million like there used to be. But they're trying to bring it back, which, I mean, if you think about it, that's a way to kind of take your game on the go. So you play it on your Switch, and then you head off, and then you're going to go catch Pokemon while you're out, and then you can come back and transfer them and continue playing on your go. For people who have time.
And data, and battery.
Yes.
Can't wait for my new phone. My battery's shot. So they were further supported, all of these rumors were further supported by the fact that Nintendo, the Pokemon company, actually ended up registering corporate domain names under these titles of Pokemon Let's Go Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. Although in the past, the Pokemon company has trademarked false titles like Pokemon Z.
Silly, sneaky B-chance. I I'd do that shit too. I'd come up with like something super crazy, like Pikachu's a trainer now, and then like you register that, and people would be like, "Whoa!"
Pokemon Pornopolis. Like, Pokemon porn game coming. It's like, aha, suckers, you idiots.
Pornopolis.
We have the money to spare on this shit.
Is Pornopolis? Are there like a bunch of Porygons and like a little lingerie? Some Jinxes and Mr. Mimes running around. Oh my goodness.
Hey man, a lot of young boys thought that Tomb Raider's pixelated boobs were hot, so why not Porygon?
Listen, back in the day before internet, that was all that you had. We thought a lot of weird shit was sexy.
So we will know for sure if Pokemon Let's Go is a thing on June 12th, which is Nintendo's E3 conference.
I'm sure we're going to see some way more amazing shit too.
Mhm.
That's really soon, June 12th.
Yeah.
Wow, that's coming up fast. So we'll
Less
have
than
a
a month
lot.
away.
We'll have a lot to cover then too. Of course, there's going to be awesome, amazing things. There always is. There'll probably be a new Zelda game out. There's new Mario's.
Super Smash Brothers is going to be the main draw on
Super
it.
Smash Brothers. People still play that?
Oh yeah. I can't wait for the new one.
Super what?
Can't wait to buy it and not play it.
Super Smash Friends?
That's what it should be. Super Smash Sisters. It's 2018, everyone. 2018.
You'll get to play it sometime. You always talk like you're never going to play video games. Our son already tries to play with your game controller and play with my cell phone. So, I mean, he's like 6 months away from watching you play video games all the time.
So not to bring you high on this and then bring you down completely, but after 3 seasons, 2 of which I did not expect the show to even make it past season 1, Fox has canceled Lucifer.
Why do they do this to me?
Be grateful you got even 3.
But it's so good.
Sure,
it's such a good show.
Ratings.
So it still has good rating. I
So?
still watch it every single week. I am so sad about this. I can't even read this quote. You get to read it because it'll make me cry.
So showrunner and Skyward comic writer, which we really enjoyed the first issue of, issue 2 is out in like a week, Joe Henderson tweeted, quote, "So yeah, Lucifer has been canceled and it fucking hurts. I love this show so damn much and everyone put their heart and soul into it. Heartbreaking doesn't begin to describe," end quote.
Doesn't describe it for me either, Joe. I am so sad.
Both on the same camp. Both love it.
So sad. So I have been tweeting out hashtag save Lucifer, hashtag pick up Lucifer, hashtag renew Lucifer all the time.
I didn't know there were 3.
And there are 3. And did you know that actually the misspellings of hashtag save Lucifer are trending as well?
No.
Tom Ellis tweeted that out because now I follow him.
Yes.
And it's hashtag save Lucifer.
How's that happen? Autocorrect, I guess?
I guess. I don't know. And so that one's trending as well. So there's just like shit tons of people posting tweeting hashtag save Lucifer. But the season ended on a cliffhanger.
Just like Constantine.
Yes, and there's so much more they can do. I don't see why Hulu just doesn't pick this up like they did with the Mindy Project. Because remember, Mindy Project was canceled, and then Hulu picked it up, and it went on for like 2 more seasons after that. There's no reason they can't do this with Lucifer. Hashtag pick up Lucifer at Hulu. Does it work if I just say it into... Can I say it into existence?
Gets into people's brains, all the listeners. Maybe they'll do it.
If you guys don't watch it and you don't care, please still tweet it out because it's for your emperor.
That's right. If you don't care, then but Kelli does. Now you have an invested interest in this.
Yes.
So.
I love this show. It's one of my favorite shows. I wait for nap time every Wednesday just so I can sit. Like, I always make my lunch and then I sit there with my lunch. I'm like, and I watch this show and I cry. The show makes me cry. And it made me cry this week too. And I'm so sad that it's over. And I don't even... The 1 Million Moms finally got to it 3 seasons later.
They're like, mission accomplished.
It only took 60 episodes.
Or it's because they gave up that it got canceled.
Probably.
It's like, Mom's getting mad at this again. Olive Garden, what the fuck are you doing? Get on this campaign. Get on the sponsorship.
But it was such a good show. And I don't know. I guess if you're super religious and you're like, the devil's not like that. It's like, how do you know?
The book told them, Kelli. The book told them.
Okay.
I don't know which version, but
I know that you didn't like Lucifer, but it was a really good show.
I did enjoy it for the first half of the season, or maybe even the first season. I sat through it, but then it did lose me somewhere in the second season. So it just wasn't for me after that. It got really into the relationship aspects of the characters, and it didn't become a crime story anymore. And that's fine. It was catering to its audience, which was people like you.
Me.
And the 1 million moms.
Could I be part of the 1 million? I mean, I'm a mom now.
You should, and then start something so that it can...
Hashtag don't save Lucifer.
No, it's hashtag save Lucifer because you're trying to save the crew members and bring them into the light.
Right.
So that way you can trick them into using hashtag save Lucifer and keep it trending. I'm a fucking genius.
And a troll.
So CW's president, Mark Pedowitz, because everyone immediately went, you said Hulu, but everyone's like, CW, you save everything, do it. He came out ahead of time, up front, saying that Lucifer will not move to the CW.
Damn it, CW. He said, quote, "We have not had conversations. There have been no discussions. We have been focused on our own development. We are happy with what we have. And we're dummies." This is from Pedowitz to Deadline.
The reason people immediately flocked to the CW and started tweeting them was because they picked up Supergirl following that show's cancellation, Black Lightning after Fox did not order a pilot, and then they also used John Constantine in the Arrowverse after the show's cancellation on NBC. So they were the saviors of all of these different properties and fans and characters, but I don't think, and someone pointed out, CW would not look at Lucifer as part of their demographic because they're aiming at younger viewers. Lucifer does hit an older age bracket, which is people our age. Yeah.
Moms.
Not the Riverdale crowd. They're not going to be watching Lucifer.
No, but moms. We watch that shit. Oh, a British man who's the devil.
He's bad. He plays the piano.
Being a mom is a very interesting thing.
I'll take your word for it.
I really don't see CW picking this up. I could definitely see Hulu picking this up because it fits in with a lot of the other shows that they have. So why not? I'm still pushing Hulu. I don't want Netflix to get it because then the opening is going to be 40 minutes long.
So true.
Then they're going to have to cancel it when somebody #me's2s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Continuing with Fox, actually, and all of this is a kind of television show renewal episode. Fox has renewed Gotham for a 5th but final season.
Fucking why? Nobody's watching Gotham.
You know what else got fucking renewed? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Who? What?
Because Disney told them
what is
to
that
yet
bullshit?
Again.
Nobody watches that shit either.
Even the fans that I know that watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are like, is that still going? That should have ended. That should have ended. And I'm like, I know, but Disney keeps forcing ABC to continue it.
You know what shouldn't have ended? Lucifer.
Constantine, Green Lantern, the animated series.
And Magic School Bus. They could have used another season.
Mm-hmm.
They ended on that, fucking computer.
Is there a cliffhanger in that, too?
No, they go inside a computer, and I'm looking back now, I'm like, this is the only really dated episode. It's really dated. Because they're like, the computer will only do what you tell it to. You have to enter in all these things. And I'm like,
that's not true.
Now I just click the Windows or the Microsoft Word and it just pops up. I don't have to enter all this bullshit.
It's not like in Jurassic Park where you have a 3D rendering of you going into the program and...
Yeah, no. And they ride skateboards through there we're cool. We're riding on
the
chips.
90s.
This is how it all works. That's the only episode that I don't like. That's a lie. I dislike about 4 episodes. But I really hate that one. Because that means it's over too. And then I have to go back and fucking find it in Netflix and pull it back up. So when I get to that one, I just skipped episode 1 and play it again.
So while previous seasons of Gotham ran for 22 episodes, this final one got a 13-episode order.
Yeah, because nobody cares. Nobody's watching it.
It's such a fascinating show because when season 1 ended, and they lost us after season 2, season 1 was Gotham Central, which we were reading the comics and the trades. where it was these are the cops. It's a cop story between Jim and Bullock, who develop a gay relationship.
They're friends. Just friends.
And we were like, all right, this is getting deep now.
Oh, and Fish Mooney, she was a badass. I'm sorry.
Fish Mooney was awesome. And then I guess viewers decided we don't want to watch that. We want to see more of like Penguin and villains. So like in a last ditch effort, because they probably knew they were going to get canceled after season 2, they're like, all right, let's throw in a shit ton of villains into season 2 and see what happens. And then the Joker is going to be maybe in this. And now by season 4, we've had like Death of the Family Joker where his face is sewn on. There's going to be a traditional Joker played by the same actor as well that they're going to throw in, and it's already in the show. The Court of Owls made their appearance. Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, 2 of them by 2 different actors. It's just like they threw everything on the wall. They're like, if we're going to get canceled, fuck it. We're going to go out, firing on all cylinders. And it actually worked because it extended them to what is now 5 seasons. So I commend them, but they lost me when they made that change.
Lucifer, where were you throwing out all this bullshit?
Gotta have Zeus in there now, and you gotta have
and then the Sandman's in here.
Oh my god, that would be great. Yes, that would make more sense. Have the Sandman in there.
No, nobody wants to see that.
You'd want to see the Sandman.
As long as Lucifer kept his love story with the detective.
That could have been a better love thing than Kane, I guess.
Oh yeah, fucking Kane. Screw that guy.
Even last week, you were like, he's kind of interesting, and something must have changed.
Yeah, I watched the last episode, and I was like, you beachant.
Is he a beachant?
He is a beachant.
So he's a
worse
decker.
Than a yes, he's a decker.
Thank you.
And you know what? Remember Dan, who you hated, Espinosa?
Yeah,
the
Deckard.
Deckard of the show?
Yes.
I actually like him now.
That's weird.
Take that.
I don't like that guy.
Because he's not going after Chloe anymore.
Who's it going after?
Oh, I told you, that lady from the last episode, I don't want to spoil it for anybody.
All right.
But remember, I was told you why I was crying because of that lady? That's who it was, and now he's mad.
So some people are speculating with Gotham's final season that they are gearing up for a Batman spin-off for Gotham where it skips forward several years and continues that way. Not a terrible theory or idea. I could see that working, but I don't know if I would even jump into that myself because I am so behind on Gotham. I'm sure there would be tons of references to the same actors and even the same characters, just aged up. Gordon would have his mustache and they would just go the full mile.
I would watch it. I'd watch like an episode and then just be like, I don't like this. Where's Lucifer?
We're the cops. Why aren't Bullock and Gordon kissing and making out?
They've had 20 years to figure this shit out. I would give it a try, but yes, we are really behind on a lot of our shows. We haven't finished Voltron. We still have a few episodes left of that. We're way behind on Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah.
So behind.
Yeah.
I just found out Yu Yu Hakusho is on Hulu. We got to watch some Yu Yu Hakusho.
My Hero Academics.
Yes.
That's the name of it now because of customers.
My Hero Academics.
My Hero Academics is on there and I want to watch it.
Yes.
Because we sell the hell out of that manga. And I'm like, you know what? Something that sells that well, I got to at least see it so I can say something about it when people ask me. So that's on my list.
We also have our Extreme Cribs that we have to watch.
The world's most extraordinary homes.
Cribs for adults.
Exactly.
Grown-up cribs. That always came on after, what was it? Pimp My Ride? Did you ever watch Pimp My Ride?
I watched a few episodes. We're gonna put speakers in your trunk.
We're gonna put a TV back
with
here.
A PlayStation 2.
Yeah, I always watch that and I'm like, I'd take that TV and I'd sell it. I was practical even as a child.
We do have an all-new show, speaking of Gotham, but it does not spin off of it. According to The Hollywood Reporter, cable network Epix has ordered a live-action series, I've never heard of Epix either, based on the life of Alfred Pennyworth as he works for Bruce's father, Thomas Wayne.
Yes! Time to clean up this city.
What a great idea. What a fucking great
so
idea.
Awesome. I'm sold. Fucking sold. He gets like a phone call and he's like, I'm sorry, Mr. Wayne, I have to go see my family. And then he's really like
murdering
chopping
fuckers.
people like
Yes.
He's got to wear that like little black hat with his little black mustache, driving one of those black cars like James Bond. Yeah.
It's essentially James Bond, the TV show.
James Bond becomes a butler.
James Butler.
And then, like, you could even start, like, every single episode starts with him, like, helping the Waynes and helping Bruce. And then he's teaching Bruce something, and he flashes back to how he knows how to do that. And it's this, like, whole episode.
It's like 5 episodes arc.
Damn. And then you could, like, throw some MacGyver shit in there, because Alfred would know how to do that stuff.
Gets out of shit.
Ugh. God. I got
Great
goosebumps. Woo!
This is going to be titled Pennyworth because, of course, that's what you call it.
What else would you wouldn't call it anything else?
Alfred? No. Pennyworth. That has more weight to it.
Yes. I'm super excited already. So they are saying that this is not going to be connected to Gotham, which is fine.
But it will be produced and written by Gotham's Brunner Heller.
I don't know who that is.
Someone who I guess is not doing more Gotham because of the final season, so maybe there is no Batman future television show, and instead they're going to be working on Pennyworth.
They made Alfred pretty cool in Gotham, so I feel like they'll make him pretty cool in Pennyworth. We need a whole Alfred movie. Why hasn't anybody made this
I still want an Alfred comic book.
Oh!
Like, I know All-Star Batman was pretty like that final arc was pretty much Alfred the comic, but I want them to go all in on that.
Yes! Why hasn't anybody done this? He would be so cool. I would read the hell out of that comic, too.
There's another all-new DC show heading our way, and this is from Doom Patrol, which has received a 13-episode order on DC's streaming service, which we covered last week, called the DC Universe.
Cyborg will play a role in the team, and it takes place in the same universe as Titans.
And with Cyborg heading over into Doom Patrol, the Doom Patrol will also cross over into Titans. And Jeff has hinted on Twitter by saying that it kind of spins off of Titans. So we'll probably see the Doom Patrol and Titans first before they get their full show.
So did he hint on Twitter, or was that the phone call last night?
Well, look, I have to be official first, but since you asked, yes, he actually told me this months ago.
You guys went out for some beers.
And I would have told you guys on the podcast, but I just simply forgot. Simply forgot.
Just forget about things.
I'm like, it's not Batman?
So we have a list of executive producers here. I'm going to try not to butcher names. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Greg Berlanti.
From the CW's Flash and Arrowverse and all of that.
Jeff Johns, our buddy.
My buddy, yep.
Buddy Jeff. Jeremy Carver. And Sarah Schechter.
Schechter? Yep.
Wonderful. All executive producers on this show. I've never heard of the Doom Patrol. Have you? I'm assuming you have heard of the Doom Patrol.
Yeah, it's definitely not something like the Teen Titans or the Justice League. It's definitely an older comic still, and which did receive somewhat of a revival with Young Animal, but the readership did not really follow. The official show description reads, quote, Doom Patrol is a reimagining of one of DC's most beloved group of outcast superheroes, Robot Man, Negative Man, Elastigirl, and Crazy Jane, led by modern-day mad scientist Dr. Niles Calder, the Chief. The Doom Patrol's members each suffered horrible accidents that gave them superhuman abilities, but also left them scarred and disfigured. Traumatized and downtrodden, the team found purpose through the Chief, who brought them together to investigate the weirdest phenomena in existence and to protect Earth from what they find. End quote.
So I have two things about this. One, that sounds like a pretty good premise. There's a lot that you can do with it, particularly because nobody really knows who these characters are. So you now have a lot of room to make a really cool show.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I immediately started thinking about is that this is most people that are going to be on this DC Universe app, especially with Titans, with these cartoons, Young Justice, Swamp Thing, Harley Quinn, are going to be relatively younger readers, definitely younger readers than what grew up on with Doom Patrol. So when they do change the team, and they will, it's not going to be like what what the 50 plus readers or 40 plus readers grew up with or ended up reading on Doom Patrol. So that's already going to alienate them. But as you mentioned, it's an opportunity to kind of reinvent them. And they even said it on the description themselves that they are going to reimagine these characters probably to fit into that Titans universe that they have been building. So it might be kind of rough to watch, but again, we don't really know what the Titans are going to really look like in the show.
It feels almost like they're trying to do what the Runaways did, and granted, we haven't watched the Runaways, but from what I've seen, that looks like it's very geared towards teenagers.
Yes, absolutely.
And just reading this, that's immediately what I think of is, oh, okay, that show, I've heard good things about it. That show seems to be pretty popular. But my second thing about this, who named these people?
Yes, people in the 40s.
It's Crazy Jane. It's what was the other one I read it and I was like, Negative Man. Does he just God, it's just gonna fail, guys. Oh, that's negative, man.
That's exactly what he's like. You nailed it.
If I were writing this, then would they be like, Kelly, they actually have superpowers? Nope. Robot Man, just he can build robots. And Negative Man, he's always negative.
Robot Man's like the first bender. No, I'm not lying.
The first, like, he airbender?
Well, no. Futurama bender.
Oh.
Keep forgetting.
So he's like an actual robot.
Yeah. He's an actual robot.
He's really, of all the things you could have named him.
That's his name. It's
okay,
straightforward.
Guys, we're going to put a robot in here, and we're just going to call him Robot Man.
Okay, like Batman is a smart name, or Superman is a smart name.
Those are all great names.
No, they're cool now because we know them.
Okay, Crazy Jane and Negative Nancy are still weirdo names. But I'll watch it. I will. I'm going to watch it.
To any collectors or speculators out there, Doom Patrol first appeared in My Greatest Adventure number 80, which released in 1963, and they were created by Arnold Drake, who also co-created the Guardians of the Galaxy, Bob Haney, who co-created the Teen Titans, and Bruno Premiani, who co-created Cave Carson.
Who's Cave Carson?
That's another one of those era superheroes, and that's actually another one of those titles from Young Animals, where they tried to reinvent the characters, and it's exactly from that same era, but another character probably that you can reinvent and redo. Kamandi, though. Don't touch Kamandi.
Who's Kamandi?
I've got so much to show you.
Just
Kirby creation.
Give me a brief overview of Kamandi.
The man of the future. Think of the, I guess, Planet of the Apes, where the world is in ruins, but there aren't actually apes.
I gotta Google me some Kamandi.
Kamandi.
Kamandi. Kamandi.
Wakanda.
He looks like He-Man. Why is he wearing a little loincloth
He's not.
thing?
That's not as gay as He-Man. All right, give He-Man some more credit.
Kamandi looks pretty. He's fighting giant grasshoppers.
He's got rags on. He's in the future. Leave him alone.
He's like a little boy.
Yeah.
Where did they give him the name Kamandi? Is that what we're going to be naming our kids in the future? We named Leo wrong. It should have been Leonardo Kamandi.
You and your names today. You're really picking on these old creators. In the world where there weren't really comics, you're picking on these guys for like, you should have known.
Why is he looking at this naked lady in this cover?
Because he's a young budding flower himself.
She can't be real. She can't be Flower. Her name's just Flower?
Oh, she's actually, wow, that's awesome. That's great. It's perfect. Again, Planet of the Apes-ish. It's a lot simpler.
His hair is very flowy. Are you sure he's not gay?
You think there's hair cutteries in the future? You think there's great clips?
I hope there's no great clips in the future.
It's the one thing that survived.
Great clips on every corner.
He refuses to get a job there.
That's what brought down society. There were great clips everywhere. All right, I approve of Kamandi. He's pretty cool. I like him now. Yes. Kamandi. He's like looking at naked girls named Flower and shit. The last boy on Earth. He's the last boy on Earth.
It's kind of like Why the Last Man, a little bit.
I still haven't read that. I really want to read that.
By Brian K. Vaughan. It's a lot of volumes, too.
Oh, man, I don't got time for that.
He's the last man on Earth.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's
yeah.
Women try to rape him, and he's like, no, and he runs away, and...
So he's gay, too.
And
I gotta find my girlfriend.
Yeah, that's what it actually is. That's what happens.
Sure, Why the Last Man?
They're separated by many. I think that's like across the country because she took a flight, and then when this phenomena happened, and he was the only man to not die, that's when he's like, I have to find my girlfriend. And that's what the whole thing is. Like these women keep trying to mate with him because of the betterment of the future of humans.
So there aren't like cell phones. He can't like call his girlfriend and say, "Hey, I'm still alive. Come back home."
Because less than half the population is gone. There's less people operating, and people are just trying to survive. It's if you get rid of half the population, like things do fall apart. It's not just going to be like, we'll just take over. It's not like it's immediate. Like this is where the story immediately starts.
Okay, yes, but. There were all these women running around. Women are resourceful as shit.
There's also women trying to kill him because they're saying that even though they'll eventually die off and maybe they'll figure out a way to reproduce, that the world's better off.
I mean, sometimes.
You got to read it. You got to see what happens. And it turns out maybe he's not the last man.
Whoa, no, who's the other man?
I'm not going to give you the twist.
You can't.
I'm not going to give you the twist.
Give me the twist.
There were astronauts in space that weren't affected by
this. So there's like 3 men left on Earth.
Yeah, there's more than one guy. Yeah.
Like 3.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So they can just leave him alone. Nah, people are still going to be trying to rape him. They're going to be we got to move on. They're just going to put him in things like cows and just harvest their stuff.
I mean, it's not a terrible writing idea. Like, yeah, like maybe they'll just use him as a way to just simply, as like a reproduction thing. There's nothing in there that suggests that they have to love him.
But then everything is incest, like, after that. Like, yeah, you get a generation of kids, eventually. And then pretty soon, and then you just get, like, weird, like, messed up children.
We'll leave that there. That is our news for the week.
Yes.
Broquette Core. 4 episodes away from episode 300, and you're getting Harvested Men content. This
is what they come here for. They want to hear about my rabbit trails. They want to show up. They didn't follow me down all these rabbit trails. They didn't hear about the 5 avocados, 6 avocado trees that we have growing in our backyard. Not 5.
The Broquette Block, where we talk about what happened this week.
Yes.
I sympathize with Maceo now, listener and friend Maceo, for watching or being forced to watch, what's it called, Splitting Up?
Splitting Up Together.
Splitting Up Together. I had woken up from my sleep. I don't take naps. I don't take naps.
You napped. You and the baby were napping.
And when I woke up, you were like hunched over forward. Like, it was just like you were watching Lucifer. You were just so into this show. And I'm like, what the hell? And I'm watching some of it.
I had it turned down really low so you could finish your nap.
And it was not a nap. And I started watching it, and there's all these girly men. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then there's like all these, I'm like, this show is not for men. I'm like, what are you watching? And you're like, Splitting Up Together. I'm like, oh, I know what this is. And that's when I immediately tweeted out to Maceo, like, yep, this is not for us. I'm going to go take a shit. And immediately that's what I did. I'm like, I don't fucking need to watch this.
Well, that's why I waited till you were asleep to watch it. I have never asked you to watch that show. It's part of my weekend shows that I watch during Leo's naps. And I didn't get the opportunity to yesterday because you went to work later, which is great because I love spending the morning with you and Leo. And he slept in so that we could just like lay there and be like, oh, my life. Which was wonderful, but that's usually the time when I watch my shows. So yesterday I was able to watch Lucifer, but that's all that I could get in between naps. So I had to watch that show, and now Lucifer's over, so I'll be able to watch it when you're not home again.
Splitting Up Together?
Splitting Up Together.
Yeah, that's immediately when I knew, like, it's just, I guess I'm assuming the character that was talking to Pam I'm going to call her Pam from The Office, it's just Pam, was her ex-husband.
The guy with the beard?
Yes.
Yes.
And then he had a girlfriend that he was watching, but her friends are like, oh, maybe he's not interested in her. And it's like this beta male guy, like, let me help you watch the dishes. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I caught that enough of that. No, I'm like, I know immediately what this is.
He's learning.
Oh, he's learning.
Yes, because you know why they split up? I mean, they split up for a number of reasons, but he pretty much never did anything.
Did he murder someone?
He didn't murder anybody, but he pretty much never helped. Listen, so he pretty much never helped, and that was part of why everything disintegrated, because like he would wake up in the morning and she'd be getting the kids ready for school and doing all these things to take care of them and yada yada yada, and he'd just be like, okay, I'm going for my run, and he would just like run until everybody left, and then he'd come back and get
no
ready
man
and go.
Exercises.
So they're learning by being separated to appreciate the things that the other ones brought into the family, because now they don't have that, so they're having to figure it out on their own. And they're learning to appreciate each other. And eventually, I hope they'll get back together.
It's going to be one of those shows where they play with you. Yeah.
Sure hope so, because they're adorable together. And I don't like their girlfriends or boyfriends they keep having. I really enjoy the show. No, it's not for men. You know what's coming back? My younger show. It's coming on June 15th. I'm almost there. June 6th? June something? It's almost here.
Sympathize with Maceo. That's all I got to say.
But I don't ask you
Just
to watch
walk away,
them.
Maceo. Go take a shit.
At least I don't ask you to watch them. I just take care of it on my own.
Because you know I'd be like, oh, my wife, I'm going to go take a shit.
Just like you did. And that's Splitting Up Together, folks.
I know people have also noticed the Three Caballeros talk from last week and also my tweets recently.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that 3 times in a week.
Yes.
Because after we went on, like I heard from you and Bobby that Coco was replacing the Three Caballeros. I'm like, fuck that shit. And I was like, Disney's not there's no Blu-ray of the Three Caballeros anywhere. As the DVD stopped production, I'm like, there's got to be a way if I need to buy a bootleg copy on eBay, I will. But first, I checked with our good friend Vudu. The one place where if I have to, like I'll buy a digital version of a movie, but that's also where we rent movies. So if we like the movie, then we go and buy the physical Blu-ray. So I looked on there and I said, is the Three Caballeros on here? Let me just take a shot in the dark that maybe Disney allowed it on Sony's Vudu service. Sure enough, it was fucking on there. You can rent it or you can buy it. I was like, fucking sold, 720p in 720p definition. And it was like $15. Absolutely worth it. Leo and I watched it twice. I fell asleep the first time and then I watched it again and he was still asleep, so I watched the whole thing. Watched it again yesterday. That animation, as I said on Twitter, call me a fucking dinosaur, is more impressive to me than the animation in Coco. You watch the Three Caballeros and you see the merging of real life. This is before Space Jam, everyone. I know it's hard to believe. Of real life dancers and humans, and then the cartoons, and then you have the animated portions where they're exploring the cities, they're exploring Brazil, they're exploring Mexico, they're exploring all of these different aspects of these southern nations because World War II was right around the corner and they wanted to make it look amazing, and they showcase it with the beautiful colors and all of the things at Disney's disposal. Walt was alive back then, he was making decisions, he made this happen. And something I was telling you, and you agreed with me, is that Jose Carioca and Panchito actually look like they fit in the world with Donald. It doesn't look like they invented him many years later, and it was probably even the same team that created Donald that I'm sure Walt had some influence in these, Hispanic Latino characters, these Latino cartoons. So I'm like, they nailed it. It shows its age. It's from the 40s, and I'm not saying it shows its age as in the animation, because it still looks better than most animated shit today. But the fact that Donald is running after these women, calling them his little enchiladas as he tries to get them, and that's all in there. He's Panchito's firing off guns and bullets and shit that you wouldn't see that today. In the ride itself, you pointed out that he has like a POW symbol, like he's the fucking Joker coming out of his guns, and then Jose doesn't have the cigar anymore. But back then he was smoking up a fucking storm.
So it is true that the animation holds up very well, as does with most of Disney's original animation. That stuff is beautiful, and it's unfortunate that we've gotten away from this. I know why we do, because it's cheaper to do it the other way. And
the audiences said they like Toy Story, and that's what killed hand-drawn animation.
Right, but hand-drawn animation is still one of my favorite things. I think it's beautiful. I've mentioned it before on here, but I love watching the mini adventures of Winnie the Pooh. It's always been one of my favorite movies as a child, but I love watching the animation, and you can see the sketch marks as Winnie the Pooh is moving, and that to me is beautiful. And I'm not one that I particularly look at drawings or animation or things like that, but I do really appreciate that. Let's point out all the reasons that this movie is not on Blu-ray and no longer on DVD and not anywhere on shelves where people could associate it with Disney.
Can you not do the Warner Brothers thing and just say this was a product of its time, put up the slideshow like in Tom and Jerry, like in that? With, oh, Thomas, like put up the slideshow and all of that
Disney
is like, oh, okay.
Disney can't do that. Kids are going to go, Mommy, look, Donald. And Mom's going to go,
what's so bad about the Three Caballeros?
Honey, guns everywhere.
Not everywhere. It's a cartoon.
Going after the ladies like, woo, 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 woo.
It's charming.
I'm pretty sure that movie's a little racist.
I did not find the Mexican portions racist, so I can't speak for the Brazilians. But I will pardon whatever people may say about it. I'm like, nope, I like it.
This movie is very much a product of its time.
It's not that bad. You're making it. It's not what's the one with like the black crows? A southern.
Dumbo?
No. It's a southern.
Oh, Song of the South.
Yes, it's not Song of the South. It's not anywhere near that.
I never saw that one, but I know what you're talking about. I'm glad you enjoyed this movie. I'm glad you got to relive your childhood. I'm glad you're sharing that with our son. But Disney's not going to put this anywhere.
Except on Vudu, apparently.
Except on Vudu, where they know that adults can purchase this.
And make their babies watch it.
Yes, and make their babies watch it and continue it. And that song that bothers me, Bahia, Bahia, have you been to Bahia? No? Well, let's go, but I'm going to sing about it more first. He took 20 minutes to get to Bahia.
He did.
Let's just go to Bahia already, Jose Carioca.
He was excited. Really wanted to go.
Yeah, but then he just kept singing about it and not going, no, Bahia is beautiful. Bahia is this thing. Have you been, Donald? No, let's go. Oh, but Bahia does all these. No. I'm going to like, hey, Danny, do you want to go to the store? Yes. Oh, okay. Let me sing about it first for 20 minutes.
Anything else on this week before we head into Patreon and our comic book reviews?
No, I had a pretty boring week. Leo's growing. That's fun to watch. We got little front twofers coming in. That's kept me up almost all night last night, which was great. But hey, he's happy and healthy. We're getting a lot of rain.
Yeah, it's Florida.
Yeah.
It rained for 10 minutes and then sunshine for another 20.
Sunshine. Oh, I spent too much at the baby clothes store. But he got a fedora.
Oh, no.
Is he not adorable in his fedora?
Yeah, there's a difference between a baby wearing a fedora and like a 23-year-old.
Yes, he is so stinking cute in his fedora.
If he's wearing a fedora 23 years from now, I'll be making fun of him.
Oh, I'm going to buy him fedoras 23 years from now.
So I can make fun of him?
And you're still going to think he's adorable.
I don't think so.
I think you will.
I've never called 20-year-old men adorable.
Have you ever had a 20-year-old son?
No, but I don't anticipate I'm going to call him adorable. From my experience, my dad's never once called me adorable, ever once, in Spanish or English. So I doubt that's going to happen with Leonardo.
I'm going to take a bet right now.
Sure, and you'll remember it. Go for it.
You're right, I will, so when it doesn't happen, then I don't have to say anything and I still win.
All right, let's head into our Patreon shout-outs for the week.
This week we have an action-packed 4 Patreon shoutouts. The first one goes out to Brian, whose Twitter handle is @BrianShaup1.
He actually joined me at UFC night along with the rest of my friends, several listeners too, like Bobby and Maceo, for his very first UFC night with us in Orlando.
Did super gay things happen like your first UFC night?
No, there weren't any. That's one story where, like, the very first time I ever went to UFC many years back, we were watching the fights, and like in the middle of the two fighters fighting, like one of them like pulled down the other guy's shorts, and the guy's wearing a banana hammock. And I'm like, what the fuck did you guys bring me to? And then my friend like looked at my reaction, and he's like, no, it's not always like this. And I'm like, And then he's like putting his thumb up his ass. I'm like, what is this leading to? And so we always had that joke of like, this was him testing the waters of like, is he into this? Because if he is,
I'm not into this. Are you?
So it's like my very first UFC night was like also the gayest. So no, it wasn't like that. It was actually, there were some great fights. It was mostly knockouts, mostly submissions. He had to leave before the final event ended, but the whole night it was like, damn, all of these are knockouts. They're great fights. It wasn't like the most filled card, but all the fights were really entertaining except for the first one. But even that one ended in a knockout.
Good for you guys and your fighting shows.
It's not a show.
Okay, whatever. Next one goes out to Christian, whose Twitter handle is @Rocketman_131.
He retweeted in support of the Jawbreakers graphic novel from the team over at Diversity in Comics. So this is
Jawbreakers, like the candy?
that's what it's sort of. Same word, I guess, but it's not based on the candy. It's not actually like affiliated by Jawbreakers.
Oh, I thought it was like the Jawbreakers came to life and they're like, let's go break some jaws, guys.
It's essentially like G.I. Joe, but they're kind of, it's a complete reimagining by a huge YouTube channel, which is Diversity in Comics, in which they take like, Zach reviews a bunch of modern comics in which they're strong on like SJWs, like, oh, look at this trans character here. And he's like, there's not, like, he makes fun of all the, like, the pandering is what he calls it. So it's a massive YouTube channel. And they put out this Indiegogo campaign for this Jawbreakers graphic novel, which just got picked up by Antarctic Press. And because of that, it was Mark Waid who went after Antarctic Press and this Indiegogo campaign for, you know, their views on comics and calling them out, like, for being conservative, essentially, in the way that the comics are built. And it couldn't have come at a worse time, because we just put up the Patreon giveaway, which is a signed Avengers by Mark Waid. And like I tweeted that out, like, hey, you know, one of our Patreon backers is going to get this signed comic of Avengers by Mark Waid. And then, like, I started getting these hate tweets. I'm like, what the fuck? What happened? So I clicked on hashtag Mark Waid. I'm like, oh, he spoke out against comics and diversity. I see. And now there's like spillover to me. I'm like, what the fuck did I do? I'm trying to give away something. So that's where that all sort of this little world exists right now, where I'm just like caught in the middle of it.
Welcome
Much
to
like this
the
cover.
internet. Welcome to the internet.
Also, Kat on Instagram. You can find her on Instagram at Main Street Cat. She pre-ordered the Clueless comic book that's coming later this year.
Clueless was huge. I remember everybody loving this movie. I mean, again, because I'm a female.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it maybe once and a half. I don't remember it that well.
Do you remember any actors in it?
Mm-mm. No, I don't. It's nobody that I remember seeing frequently. If they do, they were much younger than they are now.
Sure. Of course.
Obviously. But, I mean, that's awesome that they're bringing out a comic book. Now's the time. Hit up all that nostalgia. That's what this generation is right now. Everything is, give them nostalgia. They'll buy it. And we're all just like, yes, nostalgia.
Worked on Batman the Animated Series, and this is why Kevin Conroy still has a job.
Yeah.
Keep it going. Fuck yeah. The final Patreon shout-out goes out to Kyle on Twitter at KyleInge. He failed the training for the Nacho Man Challenge at Ale House against Bobby. So Bobby wasn't there, but he was training for it, and I don't think he even finished half of the Nacho Challenge. So basically, it's this giant mound of nachos that Bobby, almost every single time without fail, finishes all of them. And we're always like impressed that this, I don't know how to pronounce it, but Herculean?
Yeah, Herculean?
Yes, feat, as witnessed here in Florida, in Central Florida. And I guess the admiration of this completion, it got Kyle like, I can do that. I'm going to challenge him for that. And he trained for it when we went to a house, did not make it. Someone challenged Chris. Chris R challenged Bobby that same night at UFC. Same thing, failed. Did not get through half of the nachos.
You know who could win?
Who?
Me.
You could not finish all those nachos.
How much of a pizza do I eat?
An entire pizza.
Thank
but that
you.
is not amount of nachos.
I could finish all those nachos.
I don't think you could.
I bet you.
I don't believe anyone except Bobby now can, because of the confidence, more confidence than even you had, Kyle and Chris both had, and neither could finish even half of them.
How often do I say I can do things that I can't?
Not often.
Yeah, thank you. I can eat all those nachos. Take me to Ale House.
I'm still not going to believe you.
Let's go.
I still don't believe you.
And I'm going to win. But good job for training. Someone will beat you, Bobby, someday.
Maybe.
But until then, you can hold a special place in my Pal Kelli court.
He is the Nacho Man.
You will be the Nacho Man. But when you come
Bobby, no, what is it? Okay, I got it. I remember. Bobby, add guac, no jalapeno, C. I'm not going to say his real last name on here.
See, that was better than me. I was just going to say he's Nacho Man.
That works too. He's earned all of them.
Yes.
Earned all of them.
Yes.
Reigning champion multiple times. Maybe Kyle will get there. I don't know.
In my throne room, he will sit on a chair of nachos.
Perfect.
So when
it's like the Game of Thrones, but Game of Nachos.
So when he gets hungry, he can just be like...
Eating into his own kingdom. So thank you so much, Brian, Christian, Kat, and Kyle, for your support on Patreon. If you too would like your shout out right here on the show every single month, for just $1 a month, that equals out to 25 cents an episode. Head on over to patreon.com/thereasonsimbroke. You'll get the episode early, you'll get your shout out, and you'll get entered into the contests like the Mark Waid signed Avengers.
And if you've been a Patreon supporter for us for an entire year, you will get an exclusive The Reasons I'm Broke Broquette Core pin.
That's right. We also want to thank decalavenue.com for the help at the $5 reward tier. T-shirts, they're available at thereasonsimbroke.com. Click on merch. They go on sale pretty often, so make sure to go on there, pick out a t-shirt, and it'll take you straight to the TeePublic shop, and you can choose the t-shirt color. The defaults on there are not what the actual t-shirts have to be. You get to choose the color with the design that you pick out. You can also leave us a voicemail. There's a link in today's episode on the description, speakpipe.com/thereasonsimbroke, straight from your phone, straight from the device that you may be listening to the show on right now. You can submit us a question, you can submit us feedback, and we will answer it right here on the show.
All these things we just mentioned are fantastic, but the best thing you can do for us is let other people know about us. Talk to us on Twitter. Leave us a review on whatever podcatcher you listen to us on. That helps other people find us.
That's right. If you find that you cannot support us on Patreon, you can't get a t-shirt, tell a friend about us. Tell a friend about the podcast. Tell them what a podcast is. A lot of people still don't know. If you have that friend of yours that did like Batman v Superman, that did not like Justice League, let them know about the show, and they might enjoy it, and that definitely helps us out.
And with that, we can move into our 2 comic book highlights of the week.
The first one comes from Image Comics, and it is one of your favorite writers, one of your favorite comic book writers. It is Barrier number 1 of 5. It is considered the collector's edition because it came out digitally first, and now they're bringing it out physically as it should be.
So this is written by Brian K. Vaughan. That was the writer that you were talking about, and the artist is Marcos Martin.
Marcos Martin, thank you.
I'm
This
sorry.
is an ethnic comic book. It does take place on the U.S.-Mexican border with illegal aliens. But then there are actual aliens.
Yes, there are. So before we really dive into this comic, we do want to start out, and now this makes total sense that you told me it was digital first. This is sideways. It's not straight up and down, and it's a little bigger than your average comic book.
Correct. So it's horizontal as far as when it
There
reads.
you
You
go,
open it
yes.
up horizontally. And Image did that fucking thing that I don't like, and I don't think it's clever, and I don't think it stands out on the shelf when they do this, but they had an odd formatting to it. They do it with, there was like a Higher House was one of them, and it's this magazine-sized fucking comic. They did it with one of Jeff Lemire's books. It might have been Royal City. Can't quite recall, but where it was just this ginormous comic where it's like, fuck, now I got to get a magazine box, and it won't fit with, it's like the mentality, the collector in you bothers you so much. So when these go in the back issue bins, they're going to be taller than every fucking comic book. They're going to get damaged because of the height on it. And I don't even know if the standard board won't go over it. That's why it's going to get damaged. It's going to be a little bit shorter. So the width is a regular comic. As a collector, you understand my frustration. You understand my fucking frustration on this. And then the slip on it, the plastic may or may not actually close at the very top. It's frustrating, and I don't. Did that help you, Kelly? That the fact that it's 2 to 3 inches taller?
It didn't, and I didn't appreciate the fact that I had to read it horizontal either.
But those weirdness, that all aside, the story is worth it. Like it's a 5-issue story that's coming out every week. So I have actually read up to 3, but we always like to review a Jumping On Point, an all new number 1. And with this one, it is actually very clever on the take on, illegal immigration and then actual aliens, and then the people that are trying to stop illegal immigration that get roped into this. It's a $4.99 comic. It follows what I would say are both a strong female character, a female protagonist, as Brian K. Vaughan likes to write, as we know with Saga, and then an illegal immigrant that is trying to make it. But we don't know his backstory really. We're getting some bits of it, but we don't really know why he's coming to the U.S. And there are portions of this that are written in Spanish, but because it is a comic, you know what is being said. That is the medium that you are engulfed in. And the visuals tell you what the story is telling. You as someone that doesn't really know Spanish, were you able to follow along on Barrier?
I was, to an extent. It took a little more, and like you said, you can kind of pick up what's going on by just looking at the comic. Again, it's a comic book. You can kind of understand it. So it took a little more effort for me to read this, so I had to kind of stop it and come back later when I had more mental capacity. I am really enjoying the story. It's put together very well. It jumps between 2 different places, which is fun. But what I used was Bixby on my brand new Samsung Galaxy S9 phone.
What is Bixby?
Bixby is the shit. So it's this really cool thing on my Samsung Galaxy S9 phone
Android.
that Apple does not have, where I turn it on and I say I want it to translate, and it uses Google Translate. So I hold the camera over the words and it switches them to whatever language I want. I tell it from Spanish to English, and it translated the whole book for me.
We're like in Star Trek.
From my phone, which was so cool. So that's what Bixby is. It came standard on my phone. It's their new thing, but the mindset behind it is you go to a foreign country, you can't read signs, you can hold it up to the sign and it'll translate it for you, which is really cool. But I'm like, nah, I'm going to fucking use it to read comic books. And I'm glad I did.
It didn't have the curse words, I guess. There were some words that it did not translate that I noticed, and it was like a lot of the expressions, a lot of like for example, like wow, it does not really translate, and it did not know that.
And again,
word.
it uses Google Translate to translate things, and Google Translate with any language, the way that you put the words together, there's, depending on what part of the country you're in, there's a lot of slang that gets used.
Yes.
And so, for example, the way that I talk here with you is different than you would hear English up north. It's different than I would hear English in the deep south with the rest of my family. You know, it's a little different everywhere you go. So that's probably part of the reason.
Well, even the Spanish, like it's supposed to be Mexicans in the comic. For the most part, except for the main character who is Honduran, and he uses expressions that I'm like, what the hell? Like I didn't recognize them. So there's dialect in there that I did not recognize. I know what it means, but I've never seen it. So, but because of the translator that Brian K. Vaughan used is from Honduras, even the Mexicans in there are using like expressions that I'm not familiar with. So I'm like, that's not quite. It doesn't quite fit. Not quite ethnic enough, guys. This isn't accurate.
You write to Brian K. Vaughan. Tell him you'll.
The Three Caballeros is more ethnic than this comic, and that was in '46. But no, I still really liked it. I still enjoyed this sci-fi story. Is what it ends up being. It's like a sci-fi western. By the time you're in issue 3, you're in space. Like this does not take place strictly in Texas,
right? And it moves very quickly too. So like you said. By issue 3, you're in space. You're in the heart of it. And granted, you have to move quickly for a 5-issue series. But really good if you guys are looking for something new, something different. Brian K. Vaughan, again, is one of my favorite writers. He knows how to tell a fantastic story with really interesting characters. The 3rd issue, spoilers, there's no words.
That's right. All pictures. All images.
And it was really cool.
And there's a story plot point to that, too. I would say, I've been telling people, if you like Saga, read Barrier. And it's not because they're anything alike, but they're both well written. They're both really good stories and compelling, and the pacing is very similar. So I think you will enjoy both stories if you're a fan of Saga. The other comic book highlight we have is one that I've been looking forward to for months, ever since they announced and showed off the Francis Manipool character designs to it. That was like the big thing. It's like, what are these team-ups? What is happening? Where is Aquaman? Justice League No Justice #1 of Florida is another weekly miniseries that is releasing from DC Comics, of course, as written by Scott Snyder, James Tynion IV, and Joshua Williamson, with art by Francis Manipool, one of my favorite comic artists alive right now, and colors by Hi-Fi.
Hi-Fi!
Heafy killing it as always.
So this is really cool. If you guys remember, this is essentially both heroes and villains being split up into different teams by Brainiac.
Yes.
I forgot his name for it. I was going to call him Dead Space. I don't know. Listen, mom brain. So being split up by Brainiac, and we find out in this book why it's to take on a bigger villain.
Several bigger villains.
Yep, which are going to come and destroy the Earth. And he's like, you have to go do these things, Brainiac.
Yeah, he's like, because of what you B-Chance did in Dark Knight's Metal, it's caused these motherfuckers to wake up and come after us. So you have to stop this. I've come up with millions of calculations and different scenarios, and it's most likely that we're all still going to lose and we're all going to die. But because this is the best case scenario that I can think of, and I'm the smartest thing right now and your best chance, your best planner at this, these are the teams. This is what you have to do. And then there's like a semi-twist at the end of issue 1 where you're like, holy fuck, they better listen to them because right now that's their only choice. So as we said before, Team Batman, Team Wonder Woman, Team Superman, and Team The Flash, each split up into different strengths and weaknesses, of course. With the magic, or with the aliens, you've got Superman, you've got Sinestro, you've got Starfire, who I never would have guessed, like Starfire and Sinestro really are against each other.
Yeah.
And I'm like, those two characters, really? Those are the ones that you're going to pit against each other? It's not going to be anyone on Team Batman. It's not going to be Deathstroke and Batman. No. It's going to be Starfire and Sinestro.
I mean, that makes sense. They're both essentially the ruling families of their respective planets.
Worlds,
yeah,
that's true.
So why not? I'm sure there was some tension there sometime.
Does he call her woman? I can't remember.
I don't know.
But that's a very
cool.
Sinestro thing to do.
But the first issue is really good, really compelling. You still kind of wonder, and now that we've read further issues, it kind of all makes sense, but why specific people are put on specific teams. And like I said, with further issues, it begins to make more sense. And that's part of the fun journey, because you're like, really, this person? And then you get further, you're like, whoa, that makes so much sense. That's cool that they played that into their character that
exactly.
way.
And that's something that people kept saying. What do you mean Beast Boys with these characters? That's like, read the fucking comic. And maybe it's oh, look, lo and behold, there is a plot point in issue 2 on why Beast Boy is on that team. Why is an Aquaman up there? He's qualified. Read the fucking, wait, issue 2 says why. What Nightwing? Again, read the fucking comic. It's all in there. And it is good. It's well written. I think this is better than Dark Knight's Metal so far. Would you agree?
Yes, because Dark Knight's Metal lost me with that first issue. Here, I'm like, yes, let me read more.
Good teams. Really good team up. Love the artwork from Francis Manapul. I think he's another one of those examples where he did Trinity, which looked gorgeous, but I don't believe he only did the art. I believe he did the writing as well, and that's why it was a little bit weaker near the beginning. I think so far he's one of those artists where it's like, okay, he's an amazing artist, but don't have him as the writing and the artist as well.
Right.
You have Scott Snyder, you've got James Tynion, you've got Williamson, and they're crafting the story, and so far they're doing a killer job with it, and I can say this after reading issue 2. So yes, jump on Justice League, No Justice. If you have not yet, don't wait, because again, this is a weekly 4-issue miniseries, and I would not be shocked if issue 1 was out of print by the time this episode releases.
And with that, we do wrap up our podcast for the week. A lot of television news, hashtag Save Lucifer, hashtag Pick Up Lucifer.
There you go.
A lot of rabbit trails. I enjoyed our rabbit trails this week. But I think, I'm not going to lie, that is my highlight of the podcast every week. Are the rabbit trails I get to go down and wander and explore the many thoughts in my mind.
And I'm sure the listeners enjoy it too. It's an insight to the Palpichelli, to the Emperor.
I hope they enjoy it, because that's what they get.
Had one listener who came into the shop and he said, "Or is it Empress?" I'm like, no, it's Emperor. What was the last time you listened? Why is it Emperor?
Why is it Emperor?
Yeah, why is it Emperor and not Empress?
Because Empress sounds prissy, and I don't know. I don't need to discriminate, like differentiate. I rule. I'm an emperor.
I told him because Palpichelli says she's the emperor. Yeah, that's why it's fucking Emperor.
I'm just the emperor. Come on, guys.
And how do you spell Kelly? Because I've seen some brochettes misspell it.
Oh no, Kelli.
That's right. The only way to spell it.
That's the only way to spell it. People have misspelled my name my whole life. I just need to calm down.
And they've used the wrong form of emperor.
Yes.
Shame, shame.
Shame, shame, shame.
Shame, shame, shame.
I do want to thank the brochette who corrected us for where Gerard Way was from.
Yeah, it was Something Creative is a podcast I listen to every time he releases it, about once a month. His name is Kyle also, different Kyle. But as I said, and I stand by it, same shit. And I was listening to his podcast, and apparently Green Day and Mike Hem toured together. So I'm like, tour together, same shit. Same fans, same shit.
Yeah, it is the same fans. So good for them that they were able to tour together. Backstreet Boys has a new single, and I haven't even heard it yet.
My whole point is I can name Green Day. I can mix up Green Day and Mike Hem all day because it's the same shit.
Could you mix up Backstreet Boys and NSYNC all day?
Yeah, that's the same shit.
No, you best
too.
Not. Who would you mix up Maroon 5 with?
I don't know. I'm not a huge music guy. I'm more house music. I couldn't tell you. Maybe Kyle could.
Good. If you were going to tell me you were going to mix them up, I was going to tell you to get out.
Anyone? Maybe John Mayer? Does that
Who?
count?
What?
I don't know. No, that's my only guess.
The same thing. John Mayer sings about love. Maroon 5 sings about, like, doing it in the rain.
Maybe John Mayer's done that. I don't know.
No.
But there you go, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in, for listening to our podcast every single week. I am Daniel.
I am Emperor Palpichelli.
And we'll see you next week. Brocat Core, all will be well.